It is incredibly important. It is only governed by positioning, a subject I could bore you for hours on. But to give you an example, I did a lot of work for the Franklin Mentor. At that time, we were a very, very successful organisation until they were bought by one person who sold them to another person who sold them and ruined the bloody business. But incentives never worked for the Franklin Mint. Incentives never worked for the Franklin Mint because the Franklin Mint's positioning was it's very hard to obtain. But generally speaking, incentives, an intelligent incentive, a relevant incentive will always produce more money than it costs. Yeah? And if you want to know whether it's an intelligent incentive or not, all you have to do is use your brains and test. And it's important at every stage of the thing. We're talking about the website, okay. Anybody, this is a broad statement, but broadly speaking, anybody who does not have at the beginning of their website, very, very early, some sort of an incentive, some sort of free offer, is losing out, because the only purpose, there are only two reasons why you have a website. Reason number one, to prove that you exist. Reason number two, to collect customer names. There's no other reason. Once you've got the names, then you keep on after them until they buy something from you. Yeah? So therefore, you've got to put an incentive up there, so they'll give you a say on my website. You say sign up here for 51 helpful ideas, and you get a free copy of Claude Hopkins' book, Scientific Advertising. How many people have read Scientific Advertising? How many people have not read Scientific Advertising? Well, good luck. Good luck,
Sign up.
That's right. It's like saying, I'm thinking of becoming a Christian, but I can't get through about the Bible. Scientific Advertising is 48 pages long, depending on the format. It's very short. It takes about an hour to read. Scientific Advertising was written by the man I was going to mention, who was the first really successful copywriter. Sorry, pay no attention. Somebody loves me, I never turn on. The man was hired was a man called Claude Hopkins, and he was hired in 1904, the equivalent of what would be today $2.5 million a year to write copy. He didn't pay tax, by the way. And he was so good that eventually Lasker used to say to him, around about 1918, Lasker used to say to him, Claude, why don't you write the cheque and I'll sign it. Now, Albert was clever because Claude was a tight-fisted bugger, so he wouldn't pay himself too much. But he wrote this book and he launched so many famous products. Anytime you see a pack of Quaker puffed wheat, well, it's still got his slogan on there. 8 years later or whatever. It's absolutely brilliant. And the book is incredibly simple. My boss, David Ogilvy, said that nobody should have anything to do with the business of advertising until they have read this book at least 5 times. I've read it God knows how many times. For those of you who were interested, I'd actually done a video commentary of the book in R. Drayton on why I think it's so important, and these are the bits that I think are. How many people here have read John Caples? Most of you are in a wonderful situation because you don't know very much.
Why don't you suss that out?
It's great, it's great. If you don't know very much, you can only one way to go. But you should read Claude Hopkins. I read all the time. How many of you read all the time? Always hopeful. Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett's partner, said, he said, I have never met any wise person over a very broad field who did not read constantly. Not one, none, zero. So if you read the right things, don't read the latest fad. A lot of the books that come out, they've got one thing they say at the beginning. The first chapter tells you what it's all about. Then there's 10 chapters of examples. Yeah? You get the idea after the first 3 chapters, yeah?